Okay, and I'm going to share my screen. Give me 2 seconds to do this. You should be able to see any moment now. There we go. This is what we're talking about tonight, okay? We're going to start off with sugar that we may add to our drinks in itself and some swaps that we can do to reduce this sugar. Then we're going to move on to alcohol, a big common culprit for all of us, okay? Fruit juice versus whole fruits, and why we may want to prioritizing eating whole fruit a little more than drinking fruit juice. Then sports drinks such as Gatorade, Powerade, Staminade. Those are the main three, I'm pretty sure. Why the average Joe like myself probably doesn't need them compared to athletes that they're designed for. And then finally, sugar-free or regular soft drink. Which ones are better and which ones should we be opting for on a more regular basis, okay? So this is what we're going through tonight. We're going to start off with sugar that we add to our drinks, okay? I want you to have a little think how many coffees or teas that you have a day, okay? We're going to start off with those two as examples and then have a think of how many sugars that you usually add to them, all right? And then don't be shy, have a yell out and let me know how many you usually add. And don't be afraid to add it in the chat either. I don't mind if you turn your mic off and yell out or whether you just type it up in the chat, okay? Just let me know how many sugars you normally add to your teas or coffees. No judgment, just interested to know.
None for me, actually.
None?
None, no. I don't have sugar.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's good to hear, good to hear. I'm a long black man myself. I do prefer no sugar.
No, I have milk. Milk has a lot of sugar, yeah?
Not too much sugar, not too much sugar.
No.
Natural sugar. We don't have to worry about the sugar in milk.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I'm raising this is that if we're adding, even though nobody in this group may, if let's say somebody's adding 2 teaspoons of sugar to their 3 coffees a day or 3 teas a day, that can easily add up to 6 teaspoons of sugar in one day, all right? If we're having 3 coffees a day with 3 teaspoons of sugar in it, okay, that ends up being, let's say, 9 teaspoons of sugar that day. And then by the end of the week, we can see how many that adds up to, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is some simple, quick swaps that we can do if we're adding sugar to our coffee or tea, that may be. Swapping to a calorie-free sweetener, okay, such as Natvia. I'm not sure if you've seen them before. Natvia is a brand of stevia. Stevia is a natural sweetener that comes from a leaf, and it contains next to no calories compared to your conventional sugar, okay? So that's a simple, quick swap that we can do if we're adding sugar to our teas and coffees and we want to cut back on energy from sugar, okay? The next one I'll talk about is milk that we're adding, or if we're going out and ordering a latte or 2 a day. Milk offers us with some nutritional benefits, so I don't want to demonize milk by any means at all. But let's say your goal is to lose weight and we're ordering full cream lattes, full cream cappuccinos, full cream, whatever it may be. There's another opportunity there to cut back on our energy intake a little bit by asking for a skinny latte or a skinny cappuccino or whatever that may be, skinny flat white, okay? Again, not demonizing milk. Milk offers us many benefits and we don't want to be worried about the naturally occurring sugar in milk, but the fat that's occurring in the milk, we can make some simple swaps there by cutting back to a skinny latte, and that saves us on a lot of energy intake, especially if we're having multiple coffees or teas a day, okay? Cool. That's what I'd like to cover there with coffee and tea. Anybody have any questions before I move on to alcohol?
The natural sugars, can you use honey?
Honey's a naturally occurring sugar, yes, but that's no matter where it comes from, whether that be sugar from a sugar cane, sugar from coconut, sugar from honey in itself, it's still sugar. So that sugar in the honey is still providing you with the same amount of calories as sugar from sugar cane as per se, all right? Again,
Okay.
Not demonizing honey, nothing wrong with honey. We can still include it in small amounts, but what what I'm talking about here is using calorie-free alternatives to sugars that we add, okay? Just so we cut back on an unnecessary energy intake a little bit. Okay, cool. Let's move on to alcohol now, okay? Some of us drink, some of us don't drink, okay? Again, I'm not trying to demonize drinking alcohol, but for those of you who don't know, alcohol is the only thing that provides us with energy that doesn't provide us with any nutritional benefit, okay? Provides us with a lot of social benefits if we drink it in moderation at a party or at a gathering, whatever it may be. So there's definitely occasional benefits to drinking it, but in terms of our health, it offers us nothing. And more often than not, it can cause us harm, okay? So what I want to talk about here, some of you may not know, I just mentioned it then, per gram of alcohol, there's about 7 kilocalories, I call calories for short, okay? A standard drink of alcohol in Australia is 10 grams of alcohol. So that's approximately 70 calories, okay? So the alcohol in itself in the drink contains calories. And it's pretty easy to knock back 3, 4, 5, 6 drinks at a time, if not more, okay? But then the next step or next layer on top of that is when we're having drinks like beer or wine or sugary premixes, such as, let's say, a Jim Beam can that has sugar added to it. All of these things have the alcohol calories in them as well as the sugar calories in them combined, okay? So if we're drinking 6 cans of, let's say, a Jim Beam premixer, that's easily in excess of 800 or 900 calories from both alcohol and sugar. That's, for some people, almost half of their daily intake. Okay, so it can easily send us into a positive energy balance and can easily cause us to gain weight over time. Okay, so long story short, after talking about all of this, alcohol isn't necessarily a bad thing if we moderate it, but if we're drinking it a little more often than we should, a fast, quick little swap that we can implement is looking at lower calorie options without alcohol. Okay. A common one that many of you have likely already heard of, is mixing a sugar-free soft drink, let's say a sugar-free diet, like Diet Coke, with a spirit of some sort, because spirits are some of the lowest calorie alcohol options, okay? If you want to get a quicker option than that, many brands now are starting to come out with zero sugar options. Canadian Club does a sugar-free now, Jim Beam does one, there's a few other brands as well. If you want a slightly smarter alcohol alternative, there's many zero sugar options available now, okay? And finally, another one that some people may not know, your gin and tonic. The tonic water in there actually contains sugar, even though it's not overly sweet. So if you order a gin and tonic, gin's slightly smarter option because it's a spirit. But if you're wanting to mix it with tonic water, opt for a sugar-free tonic water that's usually offered in most supermarkets now, okay? Again, not promoting alcohol intake, but I also don't want to demonize alcohol intake because it does offer us some benefits, but we want to be smarter about it when we're drinking, okay? I won't go down to as many drinks as we're having per week because that's another rabbit hole. I just want to give you a few little smart swaps, okay? That's everything that I wanted to cover about alcohol. Does anyone have any questions that you want to ask me or pop in the chat before I move on there? Don't be shy. No, you're free to pop it in the chat if you want me to read it, okay? And then pop it up on this and I'll answer it on the screen, okay? Moving on, we're going to talk about fruit juice. Okay, how many people like fruit juice in the morning? Orange juice, apple juice, mixed juice. Do many of you drink it in the morning? Give me a thumbs up. Pretty sure you can do a little thumbs up icon here. No one's drinking juice. It's all right, I'll still go over it. I'm going to talk about whole fruit first, okay? Let's use an orange as an example. Okay, cut open an orange, cut it away from the skin, and you have a piece of orange, okay? That contains both the fibrous component of the orange as well as the juice inside it as well, okay? When you eat an orange, you're not only getting the water that's in the orange, not only getting the natural fructose that's there and present, the vitamins and minerals that are present in there, antioxidants and other phytochemicals, but you're also getting the fiber. the main structural part of the fruit, the fiber that you're getting as well, is not the only thing, but one of the main things that helps you to feel a little bit fuller after eating it. Okay. So after you eat an orange, it's not going to fill you up like a meal would, but it would fill you up to some degree. Okay. Let's compare this to a glass of orange juice that I could knock back in a few sips. Okay. In a glass of orange juice, depending on how big the glass of orange juice is, of course, there can be up to 3 oranges in there. Okay. How often do we sit down and knock back 3 oranges just in one sitting? Not often, yeah. It's the same with apple juice, same with any other juice blend that you can think of. It's a lot easier to drink more oranges than it is to eat more oranges. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is there's nothing wrong with fruit juice as per se. It's not bad for you, but it's easier to overconsume the sugar in fruit juice than it would be to overconsume the natural sugar there in a whole piece of fruit. Okay. In saying that, nothing wrong with fruit juice if you want a couple of glasses a week, but more often than not, we want to be prioritizing whole fruit. So sitting down with your breakfast, instead of having a glass of OJ, you eat an actual orange. Or in the afternoon, instead of having a glass of apple juice, you eat an actual apple. Okay. That way you're getting all of the vitamins and minerals, all of the other non-nutritive chemicals, phytochemicals, but you're also getting the fiber as well to help you feel a bit fuller, and obviously to provide you with the digestive benefits that fiber offers as well. Okay. Long story short, have fruit juice a couple of times a week if you like it, but more often than not, you should be eating whole fruit instead. Okay. Cool. Does that make sense? Yep. Any questions on that one? You want to chuck into the chat or ask out loud? No?
Yeah, is there any low sugar fruit juice? Like, what's a really good one if you do drink it? I mean, I rarely have it, but what would be a good one that's low in sugar?
So some are a bit lower in sugar. If you don't mind the taste of them, fruit and vegetable blends, blend juices, because most vegetables tend to be a little bit lower in sugar than fruits themselves. If you want to drink a juice, let's say, I don't drink much myself. Let's say an orange, apple, celery, carrot juice. It's a very random example. Sorry if that sounds gross. But half of that juice is made up by vegetables now. Okay. So there's going to be less sugar than the same amount of plain orange juice. Okay. So fruit and vegetable blend juice is one option you can do. Another option would be just to dilute some fruit juice. So you still have half a glass of orange juice, but then fill it up with some cold water or some soda water or something. That would also be lower in sugar, but provides you with the flavor. Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
No stress. Move on now to sports drinks. Okay. So like I said at the start, the 2 major ones in Australia, Gatorade and Powerade. Okay. Now these were originally designed for athletes. Okay. Endurance athletes, or let's use an AFL player as an example, who are running their legs into the ground for big quarters, 4 quarters at a time. Okay. Running and running and running and running and running, or a marathon runner, or any sort of other endurance sport that you can think of where athletes are working at a high intensity for long periods of time. They deplete their carbohydrate stores a lot faster than what we would in let's say an average resistance training session in a gym, or a 20-minute jog or something. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is occasionally you might pop into the gym, or you may see someone going for a jog and sipping on a Powerade or a Gatorade or something. And in most often than not, this is unnecessary for our energy demands. A 600 ml bottle of Powerade can contain up to 40 grams of sugar. So that's approximately 10 teaspoons of sugar in that. And for the average person like myself, like ourselves, that's a lot of sugar in one sitting. Okay. And it's very, very easy to drink, especially on a hot day. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, unless somebody's engaging in high intensity sport for usually an average number of 90 minutes or over, sugary sports drinks probably aren't necessary, okay? They offer benefits to us if we are engaging in high intensity sport for that long, because they help us fill our carbohydrate stores up quickly to be able to keep participating in that sport. But we don't, most people, most often than not, we don't need that much sugar in a drink. Okay, we're more than often fine with water and a small meal or a snack about an hour or two beforehand, before engaging in the exercise. That will provide us with more than enough energy and hydration, okay? If you enjoy the flavor of Powerade, I know I do, most brands offer a sugar-free version now, okay? That's not going to offer you much benefits ahead of what water would, but if you enjoy the flavor of Powerade and you want to get your water in an easier manner that tastes nice, then go for a sugar-free Powerade. It doesn't provide you with all the unnecessary sugar, okay? That's everything that I wanted to cover in regards to sports drinks. Does anyone have any questions there at all? Again, please yell it out to me, turn your mic off, or pop it in the chat in regards to sports drinks, such as Powerade or Gatorade, as per se. No questions? No? Cool. That's all right. We'll move on to the last section that I want to talk about. This is probably one of the main ones and probably the second most relevant one on here. Sugar-free soft drinks. Now, this is a pretty controversial topic out there. How many of you have heard people or think that sugar-free soft drinks or artificial sweeteners will cause cancer or will cause some other sort of harmful effects upon you? Who have these sorts of beliefs? Who knows people with these sorts of beliefs? Talk to me.
I just heard this type of stuff.
Yep.
I don't know how much truth is in it.
Don't know much. What have you heard about it?
Just that these sugar-free ones cause cancer. They have adverse effects on the body. They're not good for you. And I'm sure that's just Coke in itself fighting the fact that it has to sell something that it doesn't want to. But I don't know. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Interesting. Cool. Anything else? Anyone else heard anything else about artificial sweeteners and sugar-free soft drinks and all this sort of jazz?
I heard that got chemicals in them that prevent sort of you putting on muscle and can damage your muscles. I don't know how true that is. It's just something I've heard before.
Interesting. Cool. That's one I haven't heard much about. I have heard about that though. Cool. Anything else?
I've heard that if you have artificial sweeteners, then you don't lose fat as quickly.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. Cool. Anybody else?
The only thing I've heard is that the artificial sweeteners can spike your insulin the same way that sugar can.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. There's four big ones there. Four of the main big ones there. Okay. I'm going to address most of those and let me know if I haven't answered your questions. Okay. The main artificial sweeteners let's use a can of Diet Coke as an example. Okay. Aspartame and acesulfame potassium, or ACE-K. That's a shortened one. Okay. Shortened way of saying it. These sweeteners are created by scientists in a lab, which may sound scary to people, okay? They are much, much, much sweeter than sugar, sucrose in itself that a regular can of Coke would have, okay? So because they're much, much sweeter, we use significantly lower quantities than what we use in sugar. An average can of Coke contains up to 30 to 40 grams of sugar in it, okay? So these very minute amounts of sweeteners that we add to a can of Diet Coke, they contain next to no energy in them. Okay, so almost calorie free. That's why a can of Coke will advertise themselves as 0 sugar, 0 calorie, any sort of other marketing trick that you can see on the front of the can. All right. So unlike glucose, which is present in a can of regular Coke, we don't get the insulin spike, Damien, that you've heard about. We need glucose, without getting too sciencey, I promise. We need glucose to bind to certain things in our body to release insulin. All right. These chemicals, let's use aspartame as an example, don't bind to our insulin receptors. Okay. Sorry, glucose receptors. So we can't actually get that insulin spike. Okay. That theory comes from people thinking that the sweet taste can release insulin inside us. No, it can't. We need actual binding to glucose receptors, and we need insulin to be released that way. Okay. Second one is about muscles being damaged or muscles not being able to repair properly. There's no substantiated evidence in that. Okay. It's pretty new area. I'll be honest, I don't know much about it, but there's no substantial evidence to say that artificial sweeteners cause harm to our muscle building in the quantities that we consume them. Okay. The main big one is this fear around cancer. And the big fear around cancer started from couple of studies back in the 1970s on rats, on mice. And they gave these mice huge doses of these sweeteners, doses that we would never, ever consume ourselves from Diet Coke. Okay. And yes, they did see tumor growth and many other negative cancer-like effects in these mice. But in saying that, from these studies, okay, they've determined the minimum level of these sweeteners that caused a harmful effect in these mice. And then from that minimum level, they've added calculations to that to drop the amount in our food supply all the way down here, far below what the minimum level was to cause harm. Okay. So this level all the way down here, not guarantees by all means, but more likely ensures our safety when we're consuming these artificial sweeteners. Okay. So long story short, in the quantities that we're consuming them, we don't have to be scared of those effects. Okay. We'd have to drink upwards of 22 cans of Diet Coke in a single day, several days in a row for months, even years, to start noticing these effects in humans. Okay. So please don't be scared of artificial sweeteners. Okay. Not encouraging you to drink Diet Coke. It's not good for your teeth, but if you have an occasional can of Diet Coke here or there, it's likely going to be better for you than a can of regular Coke with 40 grams of sugar. Excess sugar consumption has been linked to many negative health effects. Okay. The final one mentioned there was in regards to weight loss, making it harder to lose weight. What is happening there is they've noticed in studies, again, I won't go into the science too deeply, I don't want to bore you, but the studies that they followed people predominantly consuming these drinks over time, overweight people were more likely to drink these drinks. Okay. Generally speaking, I'm not saying they're the only ones that drink it, just generally speaking, in terms of the population study, people who are overweight were on average more likely to drink these drinks and drink more of them. Okay. And the researchers through their studies mainly put this down to what's called correlation. What that means is, what they estimated it to mean was people who are overweight were eating higher amounts of takeaway food or treat foods, things that weren't as beneficial for us. Okay. And in saying that, because they were eating those things, they were drinking Diet Coke. So they may not have felt as bad, even though they shouldn't be feeling bad about eating that junk food. Okay. And vice versa, if they're going to go and eat that, they may feel, if I'm getting jumbled here. If they're choosing to drink Diet Coke, they may feel less guilty to go and have the junk food, and vice versa. If they're having the junk food, they may feel less guilty if they choose a Diet Coke over a full sugar Coke, if that makes sense. Okay. Even though they shouldn't be feeling guilty at all. Okay. So long story short, artificial sweeteners can't cause you to gain weight or make it harder to lose weight. In those studies, people who are already overweight were more likely to be drinking those due to their food intake already, okay? I've said a whole lot there and been on a big, massive ramble. In summary, please don't fear artificial sweeteners in soft drink. A can of Diet Coke every few days is not going to hurt you. You're probably better off drinking that rather than a full sugar can of Coke, okay? It's not going to spike your insulin, and it's not going to make it harder for you to lose weight. It'll probably help you too, in amongst many other things, in comparison to a full sugar Diet Coke, okay? Just don't drink too much of it because it will rot your teeth if you drink too much. Like any soft drink will, okay? Cool. I'm going to wrap it up there, okay? I'll just quickly give you a summary in regards to what we've covered. If you add sugar to your tea and coffee, I highly encourage you to swap to calorie-free sweetener alternatives such as nat via stevia, okay? With alcohol, again, we want to moderate how much we're drinking due to many, many, many reasons. But if we're currently trying to lose weight, I encourage you to look for lower calorie options, such as spirits with a sugar-free soft drink or sugar-free premixes, okay? And only having one or two at a time anyway, okay? You should be prioritizing whole fruit intake over fruit juice. So you get the fiber as well as all the other things that juice provides as well. And you're at less risk of over-consuming the fruit sugar. Probably don't need sports drinks unless you're doing over about 90 minutes of high-intensity exercise, okay? Stick to plain water and a small meal or snack about an hour or two before your exercise. That will do you just fine. And finally, please don't fear artificial sweeteners in zero sugar soft drinks. Just don't drink too many of them to take care of your teeth, okay? That's it from me. Please, any of you with any questions, pop them in the chat or yell them out loud to me. Okay, I'll stay around for a few minutes to answer some questions. We have one already. Sorry, Lynn, I didn't see this. Does monk fruit or stevia consider as a sweetener, and are they healthy? Monk fruit and stevia are both, that's a very good question, are both naturally derived sweeteners, which are very low in calories because they come from, well, monk fruit is a fruit. Stevia comes from a leaf, okay? So these are less studied than the synthesized artificial sweeteners. However, they have not shown any negative effects in what has been studied. So I don't want to say they're healthy or unhealthy, but because they are low, if calorie-free sweeteners, I encourage you to use these in place of adding actual sugar to your food. So just to repeat that, it's monk fruit and stevia that Lynn asked about, okay? Good question, Lynn. Thanks for that one. Cool. Anyone else have any questions at all? Pop them in the chat, yell them out loud.
No, I'm right. That's good.
All good, Anthony?
Yep, thanks. Just on a side note, I downloaded that app. What's the app? My Fitness Pal.
That last week? Yep.
Yeah,
how is it?
Been really good. Great.
Fantastic. Good.
Very helpful.
Good. Yeah. Helping you educate you a little bit more on food quantities and what's in different foods?
Yep, definitely. Yep, it's
Fantastic.
been really good. Been really helpful. So I've used that all week and I'll continue to use that. Really good thing to get.
Awesome to hear, Anthony.
Oh,
Beautiful.
no
Glad to hear
worries.
it's working for you. All right.
Done. Thank you, mate.
Thanks to everyone for joining tonight. I hope you have some takeaways on liquid calories and we can have a few different approaches to your current nutrition and exercise goals to help you progress. All right. Really appreciate you coming along. We'll be back 6:30 again next week. Okay. Everyone take care of yourselves and mask up to the Melburnians watching. Okay.
Thanks.
Have an awesome night. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.
Thanks, Alex.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Alex.